I need to say. Good afternoon and welcome to the Standing Committee on Finance, Operations, and Governance being held today, October 16th at 3 p.m. virtually. I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice Chair Biancario.
Here.
Member Johnson.
Here.
Member Roy. Member Roy, I think you're muted.
Here.
Sorry. Thank you. Chairperson McCullough.
Here. So we have two items on the agenda today that are surrounding some CTE, which are career technical education admissions policies, as well as the middle school pathway exploration policy that kind of precedes that. I just want to make sure, do we have the admin on the call? I see that. Oh, I see Mr. Weymouth. Mr. Weymouth, do you know, I think there are supposed to be some other people on. I just want to, but we can get started if you want to field any of the questions, but I think some of this is a little bigger than just tech. So
Yeah.
oh, I see Emily.
I'm familiar
Emily's on.
Yeah.
All right.
Madam
Emily is on.
Chairperson, looks like they were in the regular link, not the panelist link, so I'm going to promote them all.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I just didn't want to jump into the topics without the people here to speak. So what I am going to do is I'm going to ask that we actually do GB 5-109 to approve the middle school pathway exploration policy first, only because I think after reviewing it and having some conversation that this may be good to precede the CTE policy with, just because it kind of ties in. Is that okay with administration? Does that make sense to you as far as the fact that the middle school pathway is a little bit new that DESE is requiring, and that it's going to kind of lead into some of that CTE change? So
yes.
Without further ado, I now see we have Mr. Foley, Ms. Gamache, Ms. Lehman, Mr. Kersonis, Mr. Weymouth all on. So thank you all for joining us. So I will open it up to administration first, and I don't know if anyone's able to pull up the document. Oh, first of all, Christy, is there anyone on the line to speak?
There is someone on the line, but no hands raised.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so then I would just ask that if anyone's able to actually screen share the document for GB 5-109, which is the middle school pathway exploration policy, so that way people can see it as we go. I'm not sure if anyone's able to do that.
I can try to do that, Molly.
Okay, all
Thank
right.
you, Emily. So thank you, Madam Chair. So this afternoon, we're going to present to you both the middle school pathway exploration policy, as well as the changes to the career technical education admissions policy. With us today are Drew Weymouth, Principal, Worcester Tech, Emily Lehman Miller, who is the Administrative Director of College Career Readiness, Chris Kersonis, former Administrative Director of College Career Readiness and Executive Director for South High, and Julianne Gamache, who works with our CTE programs. Emily Lehman Miller is going to talk with you about the middle school exploration pathway.
And I apologize, I am unable to share from my.
That's okay. If we can't, that's fine. I mean, we do have the document. Sometimes it's just easier if people are watching, since it's a virtual meeting, to be able to do that. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about it first and kind of share with everyone, you know, the rationale, the need for us to create this policy based on DESE, and just kind of go from there. That would be great.
Yep, this is a new mandate from DESE that any district that has multiple pathways and sending schools for CTE programs needs to have a middle school pathway exploration policy. And there it is. Thank you, Will. And so you'll see in the document that we shared, you can see that the policy requirements mandated by the states, and then our initial draft of the policy. So the first part is just an overview of our high school pathways. We kept that fairly light. We just articulated the number of CTE programs at each of the 4 schools that currently offer them, and our commitment to preparing students in these spaces. And I can go and then pause for questions by section, or I can just go through it and then we can field questions as we go.
I think if you can go through it and then we can field questions at the end, that would be great. Thank you.
And then the state is asking us to articulate how we provide information to students about the pathways. This happens through the MyCap process at the middle schools. That's happening in college and career readiness classes and AVID classes. And it's also most significantly happening through the school counselors at each of the middle schools. So they're either having one-to-one sessions with them, they're pushing into classrooms, or they're doing small group information sessions for students to make sure that they are aware of their pathway options. Then it's just how we work together, because this is all within districts. Sometimes these are regionalized CTE schools, so there's a little bit more information required. But because we're in district and we share all this information, this is pretty easily is that we work closely. The CTE director, Julianne Gamache, Patty Sumala at Tech work closely with the middle schools to make sure that they have the information that they need. Including sometimes there's information sessions that are happening from the high schools to the middle schools, or you have high school staff that are going to the middle schools to help them provide information sessions there. And then they also, part of the mandate is that there's some information in the district that's updated annually by October 15th. Our response to that is that each of the middle schools now have a high school options page on their tab in their webpage that articulates the high school options for all of the students, including the CTE options. And that links to all the CTE programs, the application process, et cetera, for students. That is updated effective the beginning of October. So all of the middle schools and secondary schools, so Claremont and University Park, all have those pages now. Additionally, all of the middle schools, like I said, have their practice. So this just articulates that we support them by getting them, the district supports them by getting them updated information. And then the middle schools make sure that they have a process for informing students about what their options are. This goes in the tour policy. Again, our practice has been to have an open house for all the CTE schools and programs. That is the case again this year, and we will continue with that. There's a push from the state to ensure that students, middle school students, can go in and tour CTE programs during the school day. We put a caveat on that, provided that the tours work for both the middle school schedule and the CTE program and high school schedule. That can be very challenging for us, but some schools do make it happen. For instance, North often hosts information sessions and tours for Worcester East middle students, for instance. And then in the event that middle school students are going to tour a CTE program during the school day, this is not counted. This is not counted as an unexcused absence. And for us, it would just be a field trip. School records, again, this is more the case for folks who are working across districts, but we use the go-to CTE platform for this, as well as WEA-TV, our student information system, to provide the records that are required for the lottery process for the middle schools. And we maintain those on the go-to CTE platform. So that is the draft middle school pathway exploration policy.
Thank you so much. And first, I want to start off for both of these presentations today. I really appreciate the clarity with the documents. You know, sometimes it's hard when there are, you know, the next document has some red line. It can be challenging. So I really appreciate the clarity in the way this is presented. It makes it very easy to follow along with. So thank you to all who worked on that. I guess this is a great explanation. Obviously, we know it's a DESE mandate, right? We have to have it in by November 1st. We have clear parameters around their policy requirements and what our draft policies are. Could you just explain a little bit for people what MyCap is again, just so people have an understanding of that?
Yeah,
please.
So that is, it's career and academic planning for all of our students, and it's 7 through 12. There's a scope and sequence for that, and it can be implemented in a variety of different ways. And we currently implement it, like I said, through our college and career readiness courses, which now go 7 through 12. So we now have curriculum maps for those courses 7 through 12 that capture the kind of all the things across MyCap That's mandated by the state. It also happens a lot through the school counseling offices. So again, this is in small group meetings, them pushing into classrooms or doing one-to-ones where they're helping students come up and develop their secondary and then subsequently post-secondary plans. And our current platform for doing that is Naviance.
Thank you so much. And again, I know you mentioned that the high schools have the open houses specifically to the CTE programs. And I believe those are on the district website, but they start
Yes.
on November 13th with Doherty and go through till December 11th with Worcester Tech with dates for the other high schools in between. So certainly people can check that out on the website. But those are my questions about this. I appreciate it. I will open it up to Vice Chair Biancaria. Member Biancaria, do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you for the, I'm sorry about that. I was
No
mute
problem.
and didn't realize it. Thank you for the information. Certainly appreciate it. It was nice and detailed. And anytime we involve the middle schools in looking at pathways and information as they move on to the next years of education, I think is terrific. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Member Johnson, do you have any questions or comments on the middle school pathways?
Thank you. Yes, I actually do. I guess I know you took, I think my questions are more for the high school policy, I guess. I guess I will ask my first question in regards to this. When it comes to the tours, and I'm not talking about the during the day tours, I'm talking about the tours that will be offered to the students at night, I guess, with the parents to go see these programs. I guess I would just make one comment in regards to that, is to ensure that when those are scheduled, that hopefully they're not scheduled on the same night. Would be one thing. And I guess it would also probably be difficult for some families to, working families and things like that, to make multiple tours or whatever in a given week. So maybe kind of spacing it out. Again, I know this is something that is supposed to start on November 1st, or well, at least the application piece to this. I did get contacted by a guidance counselor at a middle school last week in regards to this. So what are we thinking, if you already know, through the chair to administration, in regards to timelines on, I know it's up on the website. It's going to be up on the website as of tonight. People can start to go on and look. The application opens up on November 1st. What is the timeline then on like guidance in the school in kind of the rollout communication part with the family, then to when we start to schedule tours and getting those dates out so everyone is aware, through the chair to administration?
I can respond to that through the chair. Those dates have already been sent and they've been published on the website. We're also, the communications team is also working on another notice. They've been sent out to families as well for the tours, the open houses rather. In terms of the November 1 opening of the application, I actually met with a bunch of middle school counselors today, and I'm meeting with more on Friday because they had some legitimate concerns about students and families tend to anticipate that opening date and jump right on things. I talked to them about the communications team working on a message that says, yes, the application has gone live on November 1. Please, we highly recommend that you wait until you work with your guidance team. These are the open house dates to go and send out a message to students and families to encourage them to wait on their applications until they have all the information that they need to complete them. And then really articulate that it's not a first come, first serve situation. When you apply has no impact on your standing in the weighted lottery. It has no impact on, how we track your attendance, et cetera. So there's no value for jumping on that November 1 date. It's just the new state mandated date. So all of the CTE programs across the state now have to have their applications go live on November 1.
Perfect. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the question. That was helpful information. Member Roy?
No, thank you for that very detailed report. Actually, my observation was pretty much in line with Member Johnson's about the tours not being offered on the same night. So other than that, thank you very much for this detailed report, and thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would ask the clerk to call the roll to approve and file, please.
Vice Chair Biancaria,
Yes.
Member Johnson,
Yes.
Member Roy,
Yes,
Chairperson McCullough.
Yes, so the next item we're taking is GB 5-108 to approve the proposed changes to the career technical education admissions policy for 25-26. I don't know, Mr. Foley, if you're able to pull this one up on the screen or if anyone
Well,
can on that.
We'll give it a shot. I got it once. We'll see if it
Yeah,
happens
no
again. But
problem. And then and
thank
whoever is
you,
speaking, go ahead,
Madam
sorry.
Chair, in the meantime, Mr. Weymouth, Principal at Worcester Technical High School, is going to talk a little bit about the process by which the new admissions policy, the updated admissions policy was derived.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foley, through the chair. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on this. The Secondary Board of Education for the state passed a new regulation in May of 2025. And so we were then tasked as a district to review our application and make sure that we responded to all the new requirements that was passed by the Board of Education. So in the end of May and the beginning of June, we had a few listening sessions where teachers from Worcester Tech and Julianne Gamache as a representative from the CTE schools at the comprehensives looked at the new regulations from the state and made proposed changes to our admissions policy to align us with that. I then took the first draft of the document, drafted the changes, sent those to Julianne Gamache and Dr. Lehman Miller, as well as the principals at each one of the high schools that have comprehensive CTE programs at those. And through that group, we made all of the edits, ultimately with our final recommendation to cabinet, and then cabinet reviewed the additions to the admissions policy. And you have before you today the final result of those suggested changes.
Thank you. And I think, I don't know if anyone else is speaking on this, but if we go through it, it's pretty much standard, adopting standard language from like the CVTE to CTE, as well as updating dates, talking about the governed laws. I know here in this section, it updates how the Mass Board of Elementary and Secondary Ed updated or adopted new regulations. I don't want to talk if someone else is supposed to be talking, but I'm happy to go over it if that's what we want. Is that okay, Mr. Foley?
Would you like me to highlight some of the
Sure,
main
that would be
areas?
great. That would be great. I know it can be a little awkward virtually, but that would be wonderful because I think it's very clearly put together here. So if you want to just highlight some of those things, that would be great.
Yeah, a couple of the main, thank you, through the chair. A couple of the main changes were in regards to our, so there were the major changes at the state level was now we cannot have tiers for our application process. So we had to shift the tiers to weights. And what that means is basically students will have the opportunity to get 4 weights in the lottery. So if you can think of that as basically 4 lottery tickets, students will get a ticket to the application to the lottery for just applying. They'll have a second ticket if they are not chronically absent, which in previous years did not distinguish between excused and unexcused absences, but now will only count unexcused absences. The third ticket will be for discipline, and as long as they fall below the discipline threshold set forth by the new state regulations, they'll get a third ticket. And then the fourth ticket that they'll have an option of getting into the lottery will be for a letter of recommendation from a non-family member for admissions to a CTE program. Students will get 1 through 4 tickets. They'll go into the lottery, which will still be hosted by our partners at Go to CTE Solutions. and they will run the lottery for each one of the CTE programs at the comprehensive schools, as well as the lottery at Worcester Tech, which will maintain the 6 designated lotteries for the sending areas of the city based on the 8th grade population. So there's no change there.
Thank you. And I really do think that's the crux of the change. A lot of this was just language. And, we've been doing a lot in that throughout the district with, being consistent with our language and our documents. So I appreciate the work done on that too. And I appreciated the thought that went into this now that we have to, make sure we adjust again to not have the tiers, but the weights. I thought this was a really, to me, it seemed like it made sense, a great way to do this, so that basically if you meet those additional criteria, you get extra opportunities in the lottery. So exactly as you said, additional lottery tickets, raffle tickets, basically, instead of one chance, you have up to 4 chances based on that. And I know that was feedback that we'd gotten over the last few years with some of the adjustments that people felt, these are really important programs, and they felt like sometimes the incentive might not be there for certain things. So this, I think, kind of brings that back into play. So I do appreciate the work that went in on that. And I know certainly it's also because we're required to make those adjustments, but I appreciate that. So I don't have any other questions on this. I think, some of the questions Member Johnson asked around the middle school information tied in with this. So that was really helpful. I appreciate Ms. Miller sharing, that the information is going to go out to families that, well, November 1st is the opening date, that you should really work with your counselor before you apply, because you want to make sure you know all of these things and have all the accurate data before doing so, and that applying early doesn't have a wait on the process. It's open until February. So I will open that up to Member Biancaria for any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I had a couple of questions. Could you please, and forgive me, I can't remember exactly how you worded this, but I need to hear it again. And that is the last part of it when you said go to the lottery for solutions. Could you just give us a better explanation of that?
Do you want me to
Hello?
answer
Yep.
that?
Yep, that would be great, Mr. Raymond. Thank you.
Mr. Wayman, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair. Go-To CTE Solutions is an outside organization that we've contracted with to run each one of our lotteries. So the students actually apply through Go-To CTE to each one of the programs, or to Worcester Tech in general, and then they handle all of the tickets that will be designated by each one of the students, and then run the lottery. And then we create the lottery of acceptances, and then a wait list in order of the drawings for each one of the CTE programs of the comprehensives, and then each one of the sending school, middle school district areas for Worcester Tech admissions.
Do we have a designated number for the wait list?
There's an inherent distrustworthiness between all these sides here.
Do you want me to handle that?
I think Mr. Foley, you might have just gone on mute.
Am I good now?
Yes.
Okay. I think the number of students who are on the wait list is entirely dependent upon the number of students who apply.
So we take everybody and put them on the waiting list?
Everyone who applies and does not gain admissions will be on a wait list, yes.
So everybody gets on that wait list. Last year's wait list was how many? Anybody know?
Mr. Weymouth, approximately?
I think it was approximately 1,200 students.
And that's for Worcester Tech.
That were on the wait list. That were on the wait list?
Sorry, it was 1,200 applicants. I'd have to go back and look at the number that were on the wait list.
And
All right, if you could get us
approximately
that-
375 students gained entrance. So it's the 1,200 minus the 375 who gained entrance.
Okay, so 375 got insurance. All right. So what we're looking at basically is not what our decision was as Worcester Public Schools, a self-standing decision. This was from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Am I correct on that?
Through the chair. So Yes, and we also had the opportunity to tailor our admissions policy within the guidelines that were set forth by the state.
All right, so we put our guidelines in with what the state has. It's not something that we have said where obviously the number of students we accept is what we determine, but the application, absenteeism, discipline, and letter of recommendation from a non-family member, that was not what we decided. That was what DESI decided, correct?
Patio doors or your entry door, and we're going to give you
Mr. Weymouth?
opportunity.
For the most part, that is correct. The letter of recommendation is something that we had some say in and put forth that as a recommendation through the cabinet, ultimately the school committee.
Okay, so we added the fourth opportunity is what we're looking at, and which is fine. And the lottery actually is something that we'll say DESI, we'll use DESI instead of the full name, but DESI made a determination about, because there's been a lot of pushback on how this is occurring. And I want to make it clear that it wasn't school committee members that made a determination of what was going to occur. It was DESI that made this decision on Chapter 74 courses, and the funding would be affected if we're not going to follow what DESI has put into place. And that is a major concern about when we hear from parents who say, my child is fit for this but didn't make it. So we're looking at a changes, plural, that occurred, but they not necessarily started with school committee members or ended with school committee members, correct?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay. Is there any way we can have that put into what this procedure is, that some type of a sentence under the recommendation of administration that states the policy or procedures for entrance into Worcester Technical High School is following the determination of factors from DESI?
Can I speak on this just for a second? I'll just share, member Biancaria. So I think, the backup that's provided is saying that DESI has their expectations around what they would like to see for general parameters, and then it's up to the district to do their due diligence to come up with the actual way which the district handles it. So while it's a DESI requirement that we change from a tiered to a weighted, that how we do that, while 3 of the 4 components, I believe, are from DESE, we took a little, like the letter of recommendation was one that I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong,
Right,
administration.
we took the additional,
Yeah,
we took
yeah,
the
so
additional
it is
step,
still
so-
from us. It's still our policy. It's not, we're not adopting a specific straight DESE policy. It's our policy, but based on the DESE requirements. Mr. Foley, could you just clarify that? I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, so what you just said is perhaps what we could put on there?
Through the chair, yes.
Go ahead.
He said yes.
I said yes.
Okay, because my concern, like I said, is we have a number of people that feel as though that is the school they would like to see their child attend. Unfortunately, we have to, as school committee members, work better at acknowledging Chapter 74 courses in all of our high schools. And we have offerings that perhaps they're not aware of. So that is something we do have to work on. So I would like to make a motion that we come up with, as a school committee or at the suggestion of administration, communication to parents in the middle schools, especially, that describe what each of our high schools is offering under the Chapter 74, because the problem is, as much as we're offering them, it's something that is an afterthought at times, and people are surprised. I didn't know North had this, or I didn't know Diesel was at South. So we want to be able to have something where we have communication to the parents. So my motion would be, we develop a pamphlet of detail of the Chapter 74 programs that would then be, whether we do it email or hard copy, but it's a communication to middle school parents.
So Mr. Chrysonis does have his hand up, and Ms. Lehman did go over that earlier, that does already happen, that the information goes out via Parent Square to all of the families with the information, as well as each middle school is now required per that DESE middle school policy to have a section on the website that details all of the offerings. That's part of that new required middle school pathways policy. That was the first item, but I'll let Mr. Chrysonis explain that a little further since he had his hand up.
Sure. My concern was that it was only Worcester Tech they were showing. I want all of the schools to show.
Mr. Chrysonis, can you elaborate on that? I believe they do. Can you explain that a little bit more? And maybe Ms. Lehman can answer that part after too. Thank you.
Sure.
Sure.
Through the chair, we do that with each of the middle schools, also offering up the comprehensive programs that we offer as a part of that with Worcester Tech. It's significant that we point out some of the little differences that might happen because Worcester Tech is its own self-standing school, and then the programming piece that happens within the comprehensive schools for our Chapter 74 programs. With that also, which we added this year, while you go to the website for each one of those high schools, not only does it list the programs that they offer, it also has a video for each program, 2 to 3 minutes in length, that explains and shows visually what those programs have to offer and what's a part of that, with all direct connections to the applications page, requirements, the admissions policy. So that is all part of those. It's also something that's being covered within the curriculum, within the MyCap and AVID and CCR classes that are occurring in the middle schools in 7th and 8th grade as well.
Okay, so that sounds very thorough, but I have to tell you that being out in the community, it's still a piece that people are not recognizing, and we have to figure out maybe a few other avenues, or perhaps we could do it where instead of having it being a standard piece, additional piece that we send a couple of times a year instead of once, maybe twice. My point is that we have something at every high school. We have a variety of opportunities for our kids, and some of it doesn't always get out to the public for whatever reason. And it's certainly not anyone's fault. So I'm trying to express what I have been dealing with over the last couple of years. If it's not Worcester Tech, then it could be this, or it could be that. It seems that people are not aware of it. So I guess I'll leave my motion that we need to advertise about our Chapter 74 more often. See what we can come up with.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, can you just go over again the Parent Square, how communications, how many times that will go out, and what the information is that's going to be included in that, because I don't disagree with member Biancarria that no matter how many times we send things out or share them, or the methods we share them and the ways that we share them, there still seem to be a lot of questions. I know that last year there was a big push from communications, but maybe you could share a little bit about any adjustments that have been made this year so that they'll clarify things for families so that we know that that is going to be happening. Because I agree with member Biancarria that we want to make sure that is the case. But if it's already planned, I don't know that we necessarily need a motion, but it will depend on what we know the plan is. So if you could share a little bit about that, please.
Sure. Yes, of course. So there's a district initiative to push out through Parent Square, and there's already gone out through the family newsletter. The open houses have been announced there, and that information will continue up to and through from a district level, the application closing. The individual schools are also doing their own push for this as well, the middle schools, in terms of the information that they're getting out to students and through students' families. And some of that's happening through Parent Squares, the individual middle school Parent Square efforts. Additionally, the middle school pages on your high school options is new. Sullivan Middle School had that, and we found that was a helpful tool for students to make get the information that they need to make an informed choice about their secondary options, not just for CTE, but other specialized programs as well. So they can get a full scope and understanding of what their homeschool has to offer. And then if they're interested in something else, what's available, including the CTE option,
Right.
and then what's the application process. So that's now living in a permanent place on the middle school websites. I think part of that, always to both of your points through the chair, is I used to say it used to be you have to tell people 7 times in 7 different ways for them to remember. Now it's 2025. I think you have to tell them 25 times, 25 different ways to get them to remember. And so we're doing that. There's a really big push. The CCR curriculum maps for the middle schools are new. This is embedded in those. We're also doing career fairs for all the 7th graders in the spring, so right before the summer. And as part of the career fair and what cycles through there, they'll get career speakers coming in to speak to them, but they're also going to have someone from the district to come and speak to them with their guidance teams to speak to them about what they need to be considering about their secondary options by 8th grade. So we're pushing down. A lot of this was happening in the 8th grade. We're trying to push down into the 7th grade and giving them materials and can go home to families that way. Simple things like we created flyers. We're creating flyers with all of the open houses listed with QR codes to be put up in the middle schools, because sometimes when there's so much information on the website, it's overwhelming. And so sometimes a flyer is necessary. So we are really trying to be as thoughtful as possible to get this information out to students and families as often and as early as possible so that they can make an informed choice, not just about CTE, but about their secondary options in general.
Okay, so it sounds like we have some new things out there. Correct?
Yes, you still have their first
Okay.
motion though, right? Member Biancarria, that you want to make sure that there's a note that the policy is based on DESE requirements, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
All
you
right,
for
and are you
bringing that
okay
up.
with the second
Yes.
one now, as long as we know that the district
Yes,
is doing more?
so-
Okay,
Right. What we can do is sometime in the spring, take a look at how the numbers are doing and what's going on and who's enrolled where. So we
perfect.
know maybe there's a shortage here and we're not getting the word out in this particular school area or something to that effect. But as of right now, let's see if all of that sounds wonderful. It's stepping up what we needed to do. I feel as though it certainly gives opportunities in a very detailed way. So I appreciate what you have explained to me. And obviously, this is, a big piece of what I've advocated for a number of years. And I certainly look at this as something that we're so fortunate we have it. We are very lucky, and we just want to make sure that our selling points are out there for our schools. Thank you for all of that information. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I think, remember being Carrie, you're spot on with the fact that we've challenged ourselves for years to get that information out in different ways. So I'm really excited to hear that there are these options for this year. So Member Johnson, any questions or comments?
Yes, I do. I have two things I just want to clarify. Actually, I know the answer, but I just want to have Mr. Weymouth kind of answer this through the chair to Mr. Weymouth in regards to Worcester Tech, in regards to, you know, we understand it's the weighted versus the tier. That doesn't change how many students from our middle school, from each middle school, would be accepted into Worcester Tech, right? Because remember, we had went to a situation or scenario to where, you know, depending on the amount of students in each middle school, that school got a certain amount of slots at Worcester Tech. Through the chair to administration, correct me if I'm wrong, but that will remain the same.
Through the chair, your interpretation and summary is correct.
Thank you. The next thing I have is I can tell you, so we're on page 12. I'm looking at page 12 here. I could tell you that I really do love under the new fall admission for 10th graders. I love number one, allowing our 9th graders who are on track for promotion to 10th grade will be eligible to reapply to a program at Worcester Tech and be considered for that program. I really love that option. The question I have around that, and I'm just not sure if there was a thought process around that, a lot of those students who might reapply or to Worcester Tech if they didn't get in the first time, was there a thought process around maybe giving them an additional one weight that they had applied the previous year and did not get in, and now that they're reapplying as a 10th grader, maybe they get another ticket as a weighted ticket or not? I'm not sure if that was a process or if that's something that you think would be beneficial or not. I don't know. Just to kind of increase their chances of potentially getting in their second time around. Through the chair.
Do you want me to answer that?
Mr. Weymouth, please.
Okay. Through the chair to Member Johnson, we did not consider that in our new policy for 10th grade admissions. The intent of the 10th grade admissions was to have students apply directly to our programs that are under capacity up to the point that it fills our school capacity, which is approximately 375 for scheduling. And so students will, in the same light that they applied to programs out of 8th grade at this comprehensive CTE programs, they would do the same thing in 9th grade directly into our under-enrolled programs that they're interested in.
Okay, it would be specific, like it says here, on the under-enrolled programs, correct? Okay, so I know this answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why is this not eligible for our CTE programs in our comprehensive high schools? And I don't think Mr. Weymouth will answer that. I think that would be answered by someone else from administration through the chair.
Oh, Mr. Foley, you're on mute. It's all right.
I'm
Hey,
struggling with
listen,
the mute button.
you know, I'm throwing everyone off with the virtual today. We're going back to COVID, you know? No.
Through the chair, I think that's something we'd have to look at in light of the school's overall enrollment, both by grade and school capacity.
Okay. And the only reason why I bring that up is because I am aware, I believe at South once in a while, and I don't know if it happens at any other school, like some students decide after their 9th grade year or in the middle of their 9th grade year not to any longer be enrolled in that program. And I'm actually, I could speak to early childhood education, right? So that number then dwindles through the freshman year. And so, and there's no way to increase that enrollment the following year. So I'm just wondering if we could kind of just take a look at that. I'm not sure if that happens in any other CTE CTE programs within the comprehensive high school where they lose students during their freshman year after the first quarter or so, or going into their sophomore year, they decide they no longer want to be in the program. If that does happen, if there's a way to kind of backfill those students that have left the program or not. I just think it's worth taking a look at as well. Other
I
than
think
that,
I think Miss Miller actually has her hand raised, and
Oh.
Mr. Casonis looks like he might chime in too, but yeah.
okay.
Yes, through the chair to Member Johnson and Ms. Gamache, please correct me if I misspeak, but at least a part of that reason is because Worcester Tech has a Lawn Explore program in the 9th grade. And so they are not missing out on they are, but it's easier for them to make up some of those hours and required courses to get their certificate. In the comprehensives, they're on a much tighter schedule and timeline. There is no Explore because they're going right into programs. And so it's really it's a different look in terms of making up that coursework to get in the number of hours that is already hard for them to get in with their regular academic schedule.
Thank you. That's why I said I think I know the answer, because I actually heard that, but I just wanted to just throw it out there and have that conversation. Thank you. Appreciate the report. This is exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Roy?
Hi, thank you. Through the chair, I have a two-part question. One is, do we know how many open slots there'll be per program? And will those numbers be told to the parents, guardians, and students so they'll know what their chances are, even with the 4 tickets, what their odds will be to get into the program of their choice?
I think it's listed on the policy, but I'll let someone else answer that question to confirm.
Thank you.
Bueller? No, just
Through
kidding.
Through the chair,
chair.
just looking for the numbers. I'm scrolling through the policy to see if I see the numbers, but I don't
I don't believe it's in the policy.
Oh,
but
I
it's-
thought I saw something on
they're
there. I thought it said the
available,
spaces.
Worcester Tech, they know that that's the straight number. For the 9th grade entry slots, it's in the presentations that we have available that Ms. Gamache presents and puts out there on the available options. Like sometimes those sections only have 20 or 40 kids total, 20 in each, depending on what we have. And we're bound by that based on the space that we have. So depending on how big the room is for what we have, we're allowed to have so many students in that spaced area. And that's how things were built around the functions of Chapter 74 programming. And I can turn it over. Ms. Gamache has some pretty in-depth knowledge of that as well, if she has something else to add.
We do have set numbers for the chair. And again, as Mr. Casonis said, those numbers are based on square footage and student to instructor ratios. I can list them all if you would like.
Sure. Was it on one of the things from tonight, though? Was it in the middle school one? I swear I thought I saw numbers after one of them. Maybe I'm making that up. But if you could list them, that would be great so we get Member Roy's answer.
Sure. I'll start it at Doherty High School. The construction craft laborer program, we accept 30. Engineering technology, we accept 100. Marketing management and finance, we accept 40. Programming web development, we accept 40. At North High School Business Technology, we accept 20. And the Health Science Academy, we accept 20. At South High School Culinary Arts, we accept 30. Diesel Technology, we accept 15. And Early Childhood Education, we accept 20.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Member Roy.
No, very good. Those were my questions. That was my main questions. And I just want to reiterate what Member Johnson said, is that this is extremely exciting, and I'm looking forward to see how many of our students are going to take advantage of going to the open houses. I think it's a wonderful program, and I'm really looking forward to see how the future unfolds for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. And my apologies, Member Roy. I was thinking of the number of programs at each school that are listed in the policy. So I was bogged down with numbers today reviewing all of this. So my apologies, but thank you to Ms. Gamache for answering that.
Thank you.
So then right now, the motion would be, along with Member Biancaria's motion, that we have that statement as part of the policy that, you know, it's a DESE requirement, and this is the WPS policy based on those requirements, or to whatever administration feels is the appropriate verbiage for that, so that, families are clear on that. And then to approve and to file the report, or the policy, excuse me. And I just want to thank everyone. I know this was, a lot of work that went into this, and lots of good questions asked by committee members today, and clarifying questions, and great information from admin. So I really appreciate everyone's help and thoughtfulness on this. So I would ask the clerk to call the roll to cover both the motion by member Biancaria and to approve and file the policy.
Vice Chair Biancaria.
The largest fertility drug manufacturer in the world has agreed to provide massive discounts.
Vice Chair Biancaria.
They sell in the United States, including the most.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
Member Johnson.
Yes.
Member Roy.
Yes,
Chairperson McCullough.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone.
thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned. Oh, do we need to take a virtual adjournment, Madam Clerk?
That would be wonderful.
Okay, if we could take a roll call to adjourn since we're virtual, please.
Vice Chair Biancaria.
Yes.
Member Johnson.
Yes.
Member Roy.
Yes.
Chairperson McCullough.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you.